Hello, this is Pastor Schuyler with Berean Baptist Church. We're doing Bible studies in the Gospel of Mark. Today our passage is Mark chapter 4, verses 1 through about 21, the parable of the sower and the seed. If you haven't read this, I encourage you right now, stop, take a couple of minutes and read the passage so that we can talk it through, because we're not going to talk about everything. In fact, we're going to take a shorter time on a longer passage. There's so much here, and I don't want to try to hit everything, but I want to give you one practical thing that you can take today in your walk with Jesus that will help. I want you to see a pattern here. So if you haven't already, stop the video, read the passage. Look at the people, or the plants in the parable, that live and the ones that die. In verse 15, the word is sown, and they hear, but the plant dies. In verse 16, the word is sown, but they hear, and they even receive at the end of verse 16. Do you notice that? They receive it with gladness at the end of 16. But they have no root. The soil is not good. So they endure for a time, and then they die. And then verse 18, sown among the thorns, they hear the word too, but the cares of the world, the deceitfulness of the riches, the lust of things choke out the word, and it becomes unfruitful. So these are the groups of people that hear the word of God, but the word of God is unfruitful. The family's home right now, so if you hear kids or a dog in the background, just pretend we're in an in-home Bible study. What do they all have in common? Well, they all have this in common. They all heard the word. They all hear the word of Jesus. And they all perish, unfruitful. What's the difference between the fruitful and the unfruitful, between the living and the dead? Verse 20. And these are they which are sown in good ground, such as hear the word. Remember, everybody else heard the word too. Receive it. And one group we saw received it, kind of, but not really. And brings forth fruit. Some 30-fold, some 60, some 100. That's the essential difference. Not hearing the word, but receiving it with good soil of the heart. So today what I want you to ask yourself is, are you a mere hearer or are you receiving? Do you take the word and do with the word, bearing fruit? The receivers are different because of the soil of their heart. Their stony ground is broken up and they are ready to hear, receive, and do. Prepare your heart by God's grace. Ask for His help as you read and study the word so that you're not just an unfruitful hearer, but a doer of the word. And how do you know? By the way, how do you know if you're a hearer or a hearer, receiver, and doer? How do you know if you're fruitful or unfruitful? Well, look at your actions. What are you doing? And honestly, we're not good judges of ourselves very often. So find a Christian that you know and love, somebody who is a little more mature than you ideally, and ask them to help you evaluate your actions, to help you evaluate your fruit, so that you can better understand where you are hearing, receiving, and doing. As Jesus said, abide in me as I in you. As the branches cannot bear fruit of itself except it abide in the vine, no more can you except you abide in me. We are only fruitful when we abide in Jesus, when we hear, receive, and do His word. So I hope that's been helpful to you. Don't be just a mere hearer. Receive the word. Ask God's help to break up your heart and prepare you for what He has to teach you every time you read the Bible.